This is the first of a series of videos introducing music reading. Anyone could watch this, but this is especially for guitar players. This first video covers the very basics. We're going to be talking about the music staff, measures, and bar lines, and in future videos, we're going to talk about notes, rhythms, and plenty more. This is the music staff. The standard music staff is not the same as guitar tab. Guitar tab has 6 lines, with each line representing a string, and tab is specific to guitar, while standard notation is for all instruments. For standard music notation, the staff has 5 lines, which you could think of as sort of a ladder for notes. The higher the note is on the ladder, the higher it sounds, and vice versa. I'm going to talk about specific notes in the next video, but in this lesson, I just want to cover the music staff in general so we have something to build on. Anyway, the staff is 5 lines, and we count the lines from bottom to top. So the bottom line is line 1, the next line up is line 2, line 3, line 4, and line 5. And we also count the spaces in between the lines, also from bottom to top. So the bottom space is first space, then second space, third space, and fourth space. So there are 5 lines and 4 spaces in the music staff. Notes are written inside the music staff as little ovals, and there are line notes that intersect a line, and there are space notes that appear in between the lines. And if a note is too high or too low to fit in the staff, we can extend the staff with little tiny lines we call ledger lines. And again, in the next video, I'm going to talk about specific notes and where you can play them on the guitar. That thing at the beginning of the staff is called a clef. Specifically, it's called a treble clef, which is for higher sounding instruments. There's also a bass clef for lower sounding instruments like a trombone or an electric bass, and a piano has a really wide range, so a piano actually has 2 staves connected called the grand staff, with the upper staff written in treble clef and the lower staff written in bass clef. There's also a percussion clef for percussionists and drummers. There is an alto clef for viola players. There is a tenor clef for cello players. And some players have to be able to read different clefs. For example, a cello player has to be able to read bass clef, treble clef, and tenor clef. And a classical trombone player has to read bass clef, alto clef, and tenor clef. Fortunately, guitar is usually written just in treble clef, so we're going to stick with treble clef in these videos. Music is divided into little segments called measures. Those little vertical lines you see are called bar lines, and the space in between each bar line is called a measure. So in this example here, we can see there are 4 measures. A bar line is usually just one thin line, but sometimes you'll see a double bar line, say at the end of a major section of music, and at the end of a piece of music, you'll see the final bar line, which is a thick and a thin line. Normally, each measure has the same number of beats. You'll see some numbers at the beginning of the music that show how many beats are supposed to be in the measure. In this example, we have a 4/4 time signature, meaning that there are going to be 4 beats in each measure, and we're going to talk more about time signatures in a future video. There you go, that's your introduction to the music staff, measures, and bar lines. In the next video, we're going to go over notes in the staff and where you can play them on the guitar. I'm not going to lie, it takes a while to get good at reading music, but once you can read music, a lot is going to open up for you. You're going to be able to figure out music for yourself without looking at tab or looking up a YouTube lesson, and you'll be able to use the same knowledge to write your own music. Of course, you're going to need some music to read, so if you check the description below, you can find a link to my guitar books. For music reading, you're going to want to check out my melody guitar books. I've written 4 melody guitar books so far, and of course start with Melody Guitar Book 1. It starts you off with just 3 notes, and you add 1 note at a time so you're not going to get overwhelmed. Now in Melody Guitar Book 1, you're going to learn 8 notes on the first 3 strings. By the time you're finished with Melody Guitar Book 4, you're going to know all 6 strings, and you're going to be able to play and read melodies all over the fretboard. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with more guitar tips.